What's that? Huh? Oh, that's my little Octopussy. Care to fuck it? Yes, please. Yes, that's my little Octopussy right there, Mr. Bond. Oh, no, we are two of a kind. Oh, don't you forget it. We're gonna make so many memories tonight. I know. It's so many my scrapbook can't contain them all. Neither can mine. I don't even have one. So, hell? You left me to die with hundreds of innocent people. Octopussy. You know I would never hurt you. We are partners, you and I. Please, get into my bed. No. I command you. I am an excellency after all. In you come. My gun! Come out! No! Octopussy! I can never hurt you. We're partners, you know. What's that? What you said? Two of a kind. Come out! No! Yes! Come on! Yes! I don't want the guards to see this, so hopefully they're distracted by their doors. Yes! Hold it right there, Kamal Khan. You don't own that Octopussy. I own that Octopussy. Oh shit, it's James Bond! Quick, get out of bed. Hey, Kamal! Look what I've got. It's going to crash your plane. I'll let you fly to your death, Kamal. What? The plane's about to crash! The plane's about to crash! Ah! He can keep it up. Oh, James. Octopussy. Oh, James. We're two of a kind, you and I. Oh, yes.
All I wanted was a sweet distraction and welcome to my review of Octopussy, the 13th James Bond film and the 6th and penultimate to star Roger Moore. And let's just get down to it. This film is a lot of fun. It's pretty silly in quite a few places, but it's also got a really great story, and it works effectively as a Cold War thriller. So I dare say, besides You Only Live Twice, I think Octopussy is the best of the silly Bond films. I think You Only Live Twice is a bit more serious, but if that's considered a silly film, a bit outrageous in some of its plots, then that would be the best. Then it would be this one. So yeah, I find it a really enjoyable story as well. I mean, it's a great spy thriller as well, but can be quite silly in places. The silly bits are mostly in that jungle scene where Bond's being chased by the villains in a kind of a jungle hunt chase thing. The plot of Octopussy is that a fake Fabergé egg is taken by 009, who is killed for it, and Bond has to get the real egg off whilst the sellers are trying to get it back. So that's because they lost the fake egg. So it all becomes a fuss about a Fabergé egg for a bit. But it's all part of a grander scheme to steal jewellery and smuggle it across Europe. And Bond traces it back to India, and then discovers that it's actually some of these people are actually intending to blow up an American airbase to allow Russia to then take over Europe after they order American disarmament, and then Russia can then invade. Or at least that's what some of these Russians and some of these people in cahoots in the jewellery smuggling have planned. Just to let you know, not all the Russians are involved in this plan. In fact, General Gogo even finds out about it and is very annoyed. There's also a bit earlier on where the General Orlov is promoting the invasion plan itself, not the bomb explosion bit, but just the takeover, and Gogol's against it. And the minister is also more wants peace between the two NATO countries and USSR and allied countries. So just to let you know, it's not all of the Russians behind it, it's some of the Russians. It's a bit like with From Russia with Love. Not all, basically the film version anyway. It's not all the Russians, it's some of the Russians. And yeah, so we've got quite a bit of an espionage plot. Alongside that, there's also a bit of a personal one with Bond as he meets up with the daughter of someone he attempted to arrest but committed suicide instead of going back. And the story sort of feels like a bit of a sequel to the short story that it's based on, or partially based on, with although not quite exactly the same, of course, because this is a different continuity. But it still really works well. It takes elements from that short story, Octopussy, as basically the backstory of Bond's encounter with General Smythe, and Smythe's daughter is Octopussy herself. And it also takes elements from the Property of a Lady short story concerning the Fabergé egg, and the worries that the Russians maybe, well, I'm guessing because it's been a while since I've read that short story. I have read it, but it's been a while. Might have been using it for financial gain. And yeah, it works really well, and it's a bit of a slow pacing one, but it's an enjoyably slow pace. You get some really great stuff going on throughout the film. I mean, it's a bit slower in the first hour, but it's also doesn't drag. It's pretty well paced, and you've got some great stuff going on. I will say that the pre-title scene doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just there for fun, but unlike the last film where it sort of wraps up stuff with Blofeld, it doesn't really account for the plot. It's a bit like the Goldfinger opening. It's just fun, just enjoyable. Doesn't need to connect with the plot, and even Goldfinger sort of connected it. With it by saying Bond was going to Miami next, and then that would lead to him being there. But it's just something fun, entertaining, a little side mission on to start with. Doesn't always have to time with the main plot of the film. I think outside of Goldfinger and Thunderball, this one is the best example of that. Oh, and From Russia with Love, of course. Roger Moore continues to be amazing as Bond. He does a great performance. He's so settled with the role. 6 films in, and he is so settled. That being said, it is very noticeably a bit odd seeing him kissing and in bed with younger women and flirting with them. This is not a problem with our main Bond girl, Octopussy, played by Maud Adams, as she's a bit closer in age for Moore, but certainly girls like Christina Wayborn's Magna, who's good. She's not amazing, but she's good. Very pretty, though. And a couple of other pretty girls in this film, plus also in Few Eyes Only and A View to a Kill. It is a bit odd. It's a bit noticeably not quite working. It's going to be a bit worse in the next film, though, than what it was in Few Eyes Only or the other women in this one. But, yeah, it's getting a bit odd. Maud Adams, by the way, is really good as Octopussy. She does a great performance. She'd previously been, I can't remember the character's name, but she was in The Man with the Golden Gun as Scaramanga's mistress. Andrea, that's it. Andrea in The Man with the Golden Gun as Scaramanga's mistress, and she did a good job in that one, but I think she does an even better job here. It's been 9 years, so she's back. She gets a cameo in the next film, but it's unsure which character she is. It's somewhere in San Francisco, but yeah, Octopussy is a great character in this film, and Maud Adams does an amazing, brilliant job. And Louis Jourdan also does a great job as Kamal Khan. And like I said, Christina Wayborn is good as not Govinda, that's the other one. As Magna, she's a nice on-screen appearance. And Govinda is a pretty good character. He's mostly the silent, strong type of guy, but he does have a few good lines in the film, especially just before he dies, where on the aeroplane, Kamal Khan orders him to go out and kill Bond, and he says, "Out there?" And then Kamal has to order him to go shout at him. So he gets a good bit there. Next film will do something similar, where the villain will tell a henchman to go, and they just have to take a second to take it in, and then they have to be shouted at to go out, and then they die. I mean, not straight away in that next case, but not straight away, but shortly afterwards, overpowered by the hero or a protagonist, and then they die. In this case, Govinda falls to his death. Pretty funny. And also, General Orloff is a pretty good villain, played by Steve Burkoff. He's pretty good. He doesn't have much screen time, but it is his plan, I guess, merged with Kamal Khan's. I don't know what Kamal gets out of this. I'm not sure. Maybe he gets the jewelry. I'm not sure. Octopussy would have died there, so maybe he thought he would get the jewelry and stuff from it if she died, whilst Orloff gets Europe besides, I say Europe, most of West Germany and Denmark and the Netherlands. A little bit of West Germany still free for some reason on that diagram. And that's just a diagram of one. What about the rest of what about the west of Western Europe, minus the United Kingdom and possibly Iceland? Would they go further? Would they invade France and Spain and Italy and Austria and Scandinavia? The only countries that probably would put up a resistance would be us, because, well, we put up against the Nazis. We can do it against the Soviets. So, yeah, I'm just wondering if Orloff's plans were greater than what he originally proposed. I also have to mention Q is also really good in this film. Just like last time round, he had some really great moments there, and he has some really great moments now, especially in the climax, where he also comes in to help save the day, and even gets a couple girls really happy and excited to be around him, and trying to kiss him in some places. It's like, "Oh, cut it out," and then he sort of succumbs to it and says, "Later, perhaps." So don't be surprised if Q off screen ended up hanging out with some of those girls for a few hours whilst Bond was with Octopussy. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he had another week's leave and spent it in luxury with quite a few of those women. And just thinking about it is making me laugh. Also, Vijay Amidala, a tennis player, gets a very nice supporting role as an ally in this film, who sadly dies. But he was very good character, and Amidala's, I think he does a very good job in the role. It's going to become, like I said in the last Bond review, it's going to become a habit with John Glenn directed 80s films, Bond films, where you'll have this henchman, you'll have a Bond ally who dies. And besides maybe Ferrara, you will get to like him over the course of however many scenes he's in, depending on how many there is. I mean, Saunders gets a few scenes, but he gets some later on in the film before his death. Vijay has quite a few throughout the first a bit of this film. He has quite a few bits. While Sharkey and Tibbets don't get much length of the film, but Tibbets certainly gets quite a few films in that short length. Ferrara's the only one who doesn't really get that much personality or likability with his character when he's on screen. And the location of the work is also really brilliant. I like how they show off India, and well, they film in Britain, but it's showing off Germany and East and West at this time. They also go to Berlin for some nice filming. I'm sure they go through Checkpoint Charlie, and I have been dead, so that would be great. And filming the railway bit was filmed on the Nene Valley Railway, which I've definitely been there as well few times, and it looks great. They would Bond filmmakers would go back to that railway for GoldenEye when they filmed the train bits there, and I think they use it to do their advantage in this film, but it's also nice to see it back in GoldenEye as well, and it all works really well here. And the circus stuff also works pretty well. And yeah, there is a bit of a silliness in this film, like when Bond's swinging on the Tarzan swing. I don't think it would be as silly if it wasn't for that Tarzan yell, because the swing from the vines would still look pretty cool. But like the car and man with a gun going over the bridge, doing the loop. Sorry, just the one loop. There, having the cartoonish sound effects does slightly ruin the moment, but it still looks really good. And once again, John Barry has a great music score. It kind of dips down a little bit with Moonraker. It was a bit generic, but this time around it was good, but it was a bit more generic John Barry, apart from a few tracks. This time we got some pretty more energetic Barry-ness, although it's not quite as unique as his last two scores, which we'll be getting to with A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights. But it's nice to hear him back, although I did love the Few Eyes Only soundtrack, but nice to have Barry back, and he seemed to have refreshed himself yet again after Moonraker and The Man with the Golden Gun was starting to get a bit generic. Although, like I said, it's not going to be quite as unique as A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights. So we're refreshed, but we're not quite at we're not back at unique moments like what we had with the Connery films. So yeah, but we're on the way, so don't worry. And quite a few great action scenes. The car chase is good, although it's with the police, so it's not as interesting as if it was a villain or henchman or someone. But it's still decent. It's still good. And what was the other action scene earlier on? There was the taxi cab chase, because the car chase in Germany, I meant. The taxi cab chase in India, that's really good. And get some very funny moments. It doesn't look too silly. That one, it's quite fun, and I like how they used the street festival thing as part of it, and it works well. And that's good. And quite a few good action moments. Yeah, unlike Moonraker, they know how to not shove all the action in every other scene. They take their time between it, and it works well and really effectively, and it's a lot of fun, really enjoyable. So overall, Octopussy, it's got quite a few silly moments, but it's also trying to be a bit of a serious spy thriller in other places, and I think it works as effectively as both. I think it should have been a bit more serious, especially after Few Eyes Only, but toning it down a little bit, because that one was very serious, besides that final scene, of course. But, you know, lighten up the moods. Do something like Live and Let Die or The Spy Who Loved Me. I think they lightened it a bit too much, but it doesn't go as campy as Moonraker, maybe not even Man with the Golden Gun. It's kind of a perfect balance, but leaning slightly more to the comedic bits in quite a few places, but it still really works as an effective spy thriller as well. So I'm going to give Octopussy an 8 out of 10.
We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before, doing so much more than falling in love. On an all-time high, we'll take on the world and win. So hold on tight. Let the flight begin.
Slightly more serious, then it probably would have been a 9, but it's still a really great film, and certainly a recommendation. It's probably one that gets overlooked quite a lot. I can understand if you're not a fan of it, by the way, but it's certainly one that gets overlooked a lot. I wasn't personally a fan of it when I first watched it, but over time I enjoyed it more and more. And yeah, I think it's probably Roger Moore's third best Bond film. But then again, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Spy Who Loved Me. So I think that would be right after Spy would be in the middle of my Roger Moore ranking. I'm actually going to do some Bond actor film rankings after the whole reviews are done, with the exception of Daniel Craig, of course, because of Bond 25, and also best first films of a Bond actor and best last films of a Bond actor, again excluding, well, once Bond 25 comes out, of course, for that last one, latter one. But yeah, expect Octopussy to be one of my higher Roger Moore Bond films, and possibly I don't know if it's around the halfway point of the overall list out of the current 24, but I think it's around that one. I don't know if it's above the halfway point or just below it, but it's certainly around that point, because it's really fun, really enjoyable, and yeah, it's one you can put on and watch, sit through quite easily, and have a good time for 2 hours or so, just over 2 hours. Nothing to get really your knickers in a twist, but nothing nothing amazing. It's just really good. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching. The next Bond film will not be the next Eon Productions film, A View to a Kill. It will instead be the Kevin McClory executive produced Jack Schwartzman's Man. Can't really pronounce his name, but the next Bond film I will be reviewing will be Never Say Never Again, which is the unofficial 1983 Bond remake of Thunderball, or second adaptation of the novel, which is the last film ever to star Sean Connery as James Bond 007, although he does go on to play Bond one more time in a video game, but it will be the last film to feature Sean Connery. And yeah, let's say out of the 1983 films, Octopussy is much better. And it made more money, which is even better. Anyway, so next time, the second of the two 1983 films, and easily the weakest, as well as another unofficial Bond film, Never Say Never Again. Yay. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
So hold on tight, let the flight begin. We're an all-time
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Excuse me. The basic plot of Octopussy, quickly, is I don't think the voice is that great though. That's just me. My voice might not be that good to other people. I think I'll cut that bit. Which is good because it made more money. So yeah, next time, the week of the two 1983 Bond films, and the second... Shut up! Let's do this again. Oh, that's my little Octopussy. People outside have really ruined this take. Shut up! Huh? Oh. That's my little Octopussy. Would you like to fuck me? Shit. That was the wrong word. Octopussy. Right, this is Bond and Magna. Action. I think that'll do. Got another one to do in a moment. Kamal Khan and Octopussy. Two, one, action. Oh. Okay, this is Kamal Khan here. Octopussy. You know. I'll start again. He demands it. Me. I command you. I am a royal highness. Oh shit. James Bond. Try again. Oh, fuck's sake. Ready? You left me to die with millions of other people. Hundreds. You left me to die with hundreds of other people. Innocent people. Ah! Quick, get out the bend. Bye. Bye, Kamal. Hey, Kamal, look what I've got. It's gonna crash. Hey, Kamal. He couldn't hold it. James Bond. Excuse me. Okay, that's the Octopussy sketch done. Get up. Done.